Alright, 2024, first try anyways. Actually, it's my third attempt making this video, but first video of the year. But as for this fight, Volkanovski Topuria, I was first leaning towards Volkanovski, but I'm pretty convinced Topuria's just going to knock him out. I wouldn't be surprised if Volkanovski outlands Topuria, and in fact is winning the fight, and then he just gets caught eventually and put away. Now, it's not like Volkanovski is made of glass or something, but he doesn't have an iron chin like Vettori or like Holloway, someone like that. Obviously, he doesn't have an iron chin. I think he has a pretty average chin, to be honest. Maybe even slightly above average, but Topuria certainly has an exceptional level of power. Now, this fight is mostly going to be in the stand-up. Volkanovski, he's not a huge kicker. I don't think you're going to see him start throwing spinning back kicks or even throw any high kicks because he just never does that in his career, or side kicks. Volkanovski, he's just going to be going to that low kick, inside low kick, or inside leg kick, and that's pretty much all you're going to be seeing from Volkanovski in terms of kicks. Otherwise, he's just going to be punching. And Topuria, it's the same thing. He's probably just going to be throwing that low kick. And that's the only kick I ever see Topuria throwing. At least Volkanovski throws body kicks occasionally. And he throws them with both legs. But Topuria, always orthodox, always throws kicks with the rear leg. So this is pretty much going to be... And this is why it heavily favors Topuria, because Topuria is much better in the pocket. He's just much more dangerous than Volkanovski. Much more power, much more ferocity. I'd say Volkanovski, his hand speed he's definitely faster than Topuria. At least that's what it seems to me when I'm watching their videos. But Topuria, his combos are more damaging. Obviously because he has more power, but also he just sits down on his shots more. Volkanovski, it's like he goes in, he blitzes, and he gets right out. He's not trying to go for a knockout shot. And a lot of Volkanovski's punches, it's clear he doesn't throw them with full power. He doesn't really sit into his punches. He's just trying to throw something really fast, and then obviously Volkanovski, he can sometimes sit down on his punch when it's very clear he can land with full force. But anyways, I think that the most important factor in this fight, to be honest, is just going to be the difference in power. That's simply it. And the fact that Topuria is more defensively responsible when it comes to his boxing. I think that's going to be the deciding factor in this fight. Because we know this fight's going to take place mostly in punching range. Maybe at first Volkanovski feels him out. I think if Volk's smart, he's going to try to win this fight with jabs and leg kicks. And just skirt at the outside. Just skirt right in kicking range, right in that outside range. And just try to tally up points on Topuria, make Topuria miss. Because Volkanovski, he's very elusive and hard to hit. But Volkanovski always gets caught when he's the one attacking. And I'm just going to go over the videos. Hopefully YouTube doesn't take them down, or take down this video, but it is what it is. And excuse me. I drank too much of that fruit juice. Anyways, in terms of the grappling wrestling, I could see a world where Volkanovski's game plan is he's going to try to wear Topuria out in the clinch. I mean, I can see he's just crashing forward. He's going to try to use his physicality, his cardio. He's just going to grind Topuria up against the fence, try to go for takedowns. I don't think Volkanovski's wrestling is good enough to ragdoll Topuria. Maybe Volkanovski can take him down a handful of times, but I see Topuria just getting right back up. Or maybe Topuria is completely unprepared for the wrestling. We'll see. Anything can happen, but in general, I don't think Volkanovski's offensive wrestling is good enough to win him this fight against Topuria. And Topuria, even if the fight gets to the ground, I know Volkanovski's super good when it comes to top control, and his ground and pound is really good as well. But Topuria is no slouch on the ground. So it's going to be an interesting fight. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think Topuria, before he got into the UFC, he was winning most of his fights by submission. I could be wrong, but I do recall seeing he had many, many submission wins. But I think more than likely Topuria will just get back up if Volkanovski tries to take him down. So another huge factor in this fight is the fact Topuria is in his physical prime. He's in his athletic prime. Whereas Volkanovski, he's obviously leaving his prime. I don't know how anyone can. Maybe you can say in terms of MMA, he's in his prime, meaning that the athleticism is decreased, but his skills have increased. So you're at this middle point where you're in your prime, supposedly. But certainly Volkanovski's not in his athletic prime, which is athleticism is not necessarily skills, but athleticism is going to matter so much in this fight because their skills are similar in many ways. But I mean, for example, Volkanovski, his reflexes, his agility, his ability to take a punch. Well, also because as you get older, you get into more fights, you take more damage. And all this training you do is going to do, it just causes wear and tear on the body. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if Volkanovski's taking all the PEDs. I have to say his gym is pretty suspicious. City Kickboxing, those guys are pretty suspicious when it comes to PEDs. So I don't know if Volkanovski's just on all this gear, but it's still not going to matter when he's 36 or 37. I don't know how old he is. But anyways, right. So the difference in boxing technique, that's going to decide who wins this fight. That's going to be a huge deciding factor. And as I said, Volkanovski's very elusive, but every time Volkanovski gets caught, and he gets caught often, every time he gets caught, it's when he attacks. And I'm going to precisely show what I mean right now. So let's mute this. All right, playback speed 5 times. Let's just see what happens when he attacks. I'm not going to break down every single little detail that's going on because that's just irrelevant to the video. Okay, but yeah, see that lead leg low kick he likes to throw. That's going to be a weapon he throws against Topuria. Not really related to the point of this video, but anyways. I'm just waiting to, oh gosh. This is going to go over so much video footage. Alright, so he hurts Yair. I just have to do this, so I guess it doesn't get flagged for copyright. But anyways, look what happens when Volkanovski comes in. This is what happens every single time he attacks. When he blitzes, when he throws any sort of combination. Look how he enters the pocket. His hands are nowhere near his chin. Every time he attacks, I mean, if you'll look at some high-level kickboxers, every time they attack, this hand would be completely glued to their chin, precisely to defend themselves against a counter shot. Now, I'm not criticizing his technique, obviously. Well, kind of am, but I'm not saying it's not effective. I'm just saying this is one thing he does that Topuria can capitalize on to knock him out. So every time he enters the pocket, when he engages, his hand is not near his chin. He drops his hands, actually. And then look, he just eats that counter. And you can see it wobbles him for a second, and he has to fall into the clinch. Okay, and then let's look at this against Holloway. That has volume. Okay, so let's just see what happens when he attacks Holloway. Playing too much footage. So see, every time he throws anything, his hands are just down. He's in full offense mode. Every time he throws anything or enters the pocket, he drops his hands. Topuria could slip this jab and then counter with a left hook, counter with a right cross. There's a lot of options for him. See, look, hands are just down. Look, hands are just down when he's attacking. This hand, it's not near his chin at all. Just both his hands are dropped. And then when he exits the pocket, the thing is he's really aware defensively, and he has very good movement. So that's why Volkanovski doesn't get dropped left, right, and center. Also, another thing I noticed, look, he just threw that jab, and then his hand immediately just drops all the way to his hip. He throws that jab, and it just drops to his hip, rather than he throws the jab, and then it retracts and goes back to being near his face. Completely drops his hand. Look at that after throwing the jab. Astonishing. So I feel like someone like Topuria and his camp, when they're watching Volkanovski's fight, they have to notice things like this. I mean, Volkanovski throws the jab, and then the hand just completely drops to his hip, like it just goes limp. So Topuria could think. And also, when Volkanovski defends, he'll usually, when he's in the orthodox stance, I kind of tripped over my words, but when Volkanovski's in the orthodox stance, he'll use his left hand, his lead hand, he'll use it as a post, and then he'll just circle out or retreat, and then his right hand is glued to his chin, but his left hand, he always just holds it out there. He doesn't really block with both of his hands. He doesn't have a typical high guard. So I feel like Topuria is going to look to sneak shots over Volkanovski's left shoulder this entire fight. He's going to be looking to, especially as he has a wicked good right hook. So I feel like Topuria is going to try to engage with Volkanovski, pressure Volkanovski, and then slip that right hook over Volkanovski's defense. Because he really doesn't dodge punches coming from this trajectory, like coming over his left shoulder. He doesn't defend them optimally sometimes. Yeah, see, look at that. Look at that. He throws a jab, his hand completely drops down. Look at that. I mean, he does a good punch. He does a good punch. He does a good job of evading that, but he's not going to get so lucky against Topuria. Well, not lucky, but anyways, I misspoke. It is what it is. Again, Volkanovski attacks. Hands are completely dropped. And then I think he's about to get dropped by Makhachev. Yep, he is. Well, he doesn't get dropped, but he gets stumbled. So he comes in. Look at this. Hands are completely dropped, completely wide open for a counter. All I'm saying is that, look, as Volkanovski throws, his hands are both completely dropped. He's completely open for a counter. I know I just said that 5 seconds ago, but if this is Topuria landing this shot on Volkanovski, Volkanovski's going out. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what anyone says. Topuria is more powerful than Makhachev pound for pound. Makhachev, he's quite powerful, but Topuria, it's a different level of power. So if Topuria is landing that shot on Volkanovski, and he wouldn't throw a left cross, because obviously he's not a southpaw fighter, but let's say he threw a left hook or something, that's still, this shot would knock out Volkanovski. So Volkanovski, he stumbles back, and then, see, he always outstretches this arm, and then this arm is glued to his face. So Topuria could just pressure him and then sneak a shot around his left shoulder. Also, one thing I noticed, Volkanovski will duck a lot to his right when defending strikes. Just if you watch this entire fight through, I know it's obviously because Makhachev is, he could be throwing a knee, he could be throwing a high kick. Like, obviously Volkanovski is going to be paying attention to that side. But another thing I noticed is that Volkanovski, he just dips to his right side a lot to defend. Am I saying Topuria is going to blast him with head kicks? No. But Topuria could really sit on that left hook and try to sneak it around Volkanovski's guard, or maybe even throw a left uppercut. Just take advantage of the fact that Volk always leans to that side. Or, see the way Volkanovski's defending? Topuria could throw a fake left hook, get Volkanovski to shield up on this side and lean to the right, and then he could sneak a right hook around this entire open area. But most fighters cannot capitalize on this, but Volkanovski in his entire career, he's never fought someone with two things. He's never fought someone with the boxing skill of Topuria, the combinations, the aggression, and also the power. All those things combined. I think Topuria can pressure Volkanovski, and Volkanovski doesn't do too well when he's the one who's being pressured, especially when he can't resort to the grappling. So, now Topuria, equally, he could also get caught coming in, but Topuria, I think he's a lot more defensively responsible than Volkanovski when it comes to entering the pocket and when it comes to attacking. Especially because Topuria was fighting Josh Emmett, and you could see he was very aware not to get over-aggressive and expose himself. So, I think what's going to happen in this fight is, maybe I already said this, I've recorded this several times, so I forgot what I've said or not said, but Volkanovski, he could be winning the fight. He could be winning the fight. He could be outscoring Topuria by a large margin. I think he'll just go for jabs and leg kicks, and that's it. And then maybe throw in a few blitzes. Maybe even sneak in a few body shots. Maybe Volkanovski will even try to clinch with Topuria and gas him out in the clinch and just use his strength. I think I went over that. But regardless, there's going to be a moment when Volkanovski attacks Topuria. Topuria's just going to be patient. He's going to be coiled like a viper. Volkanovski's just going to attack Topuria. Topuria's just going to put him out. He's going to hit him with a really hard shot. It's going to, if not flatline Volkanovski, it's going to hurt him really bad, and then Topuria TKOs him. Maybe I'll say Topuria by KO in round 3. I think that's a decent prediction. Round 3 or round 2. I don't see it happening in round 1 because Volkanovski, well, I don't know. But I think against Topuria, Volkanovski, he knows he's really good at striking. He knows he's super dangerous. Volkanovski, he's just going to be feeling him out, doing whatever. And Volkanovski, I definitely feel like he's going to do something new that we haven't seen before just against Topuria. However, for the most part, it's going to be same old Volkanovski. He's just going to be jabbing a lot, moving away from most of these shots. Topuria's going to be hitting air. And then one time Volkanovski is going to attack. Topuria just times him perfectly, catches him with something, and that's going to be it. So I'll say Topuria second or third round KO. But Topuria seems to keep his power for 5 rounds, so we don't really know.